Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Mario Cristobal, the Miami Hurricanes, they've been on an absolute tear over the last couple weeks during this spring transfer portal window. And, we've been breaking these commitments down as they've come in, but over the last couple of days, been kind of diving into the film and really starting to understand what these transfers bring to the Miami Hurricanes program. We did Simeon Barrow Jr. over the weekend. Now we're moving to former Houston wide receiver Sam Brown, who we had this conversation heading into the spring transfer portal window in terms of what wide receiver would we like to see the Hurricanes go after. Look at Sam Brown and say, this was the exact guy we've been talking about in the comment sections, right? A guy that has that big body that can work on the boundary, work vertically down the field, but most importantly, some proven production at the Power 5 level. And I think we said that because we believe in Isaiah Horton. The only knock on Isaiah Horton is we haven't necessarily seen it yet. For a guy like Sam Brown, over 800 yards in the Big 12 last year, he kind of brings that proven commodity to this Miami Hurricanes offense. But I think most importantly, and kind of something I realized after diving into some of the film, Sam Brown is one of the more polished wide receivers that you're going to see in college football. Yes, he has a solid frame, but he's not the biggest wide receiver. He's not a Kobe Young. He's not necessarily the fastest wide receiver, but you talk about an overall really complete wide receiver that can do so many different things for an offense. That's what you're getting at with Sam Brown. Fired up to get into this one. Want to dive into the film. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys, the Miami Hurricane fans. I mean, it's been a blast talking this program over the last couple of weeks, and the amount of support you guys continue to show it. And that stuff means the world. I can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We got Damian Martinez up next for the film study. I'm fired. I've watched a lot of Damian Martinez in my days, but I'm fired up to dive into the film. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Sam Brown. And again, I think where I want to start with Sam Brown before we get into the plays is this is a guy that you can get involved in so many different ways, an extremely polished wide receiver. Some of the things that we're going to look at, one, being a really intelligent wide receiver, and a lot of the same things we talked about with Xavier Restrepo in terms of just being a heady wide receiver that's a quarterback's best friend. Sam Brown, creating separation in man coverage, being able to sit it down in zones, in zone coverage. This is a quarterback-friendly wide receiver that really understands the route running part of the game at a very high level. But then you talk about working down the field, stacking defensive backs, using his hands to create separation down the field. Very good at that. He's a guy that can operate after the catch, something that, when you dive into the film, you see it on the numbers, right? Caught for over 800 yards, over 400 of them came after the catch. You dive into the film a little bit, you start to see that Houston staff in 2023, saw Sam Brown as an offensive weapon. They made concerted efforts to get him the football in a lot of different ways, whether it was screens, whether it was end arounds. Sam Brown's a guy that can make stuff happen after the catch as well. Now, getting into the film, the first thing that I want to talk about that, really just impressive. Sam Brown was the guy on third down. You talk about a big play here, 14-14, 3rd and 6. You're looking to extend the drive. Sam Brown, going to be working on the top of your screen right here. He's going to see zone coverage, and what he's going to do is just sit it down. And again, this is the stuff that doesn't necessarily make the highlight tapes, but you talk about winning football. This is winning football, right? And he's going to see zone coverage. I'm going to know what I need to do in terms of presenting myself to the quarterback, finding that soft spot in the zone, present myself to the quarterback. And again, low ball by Donovan Smith, Sam Brown going down, making a play, extending the drive. You talk about the games that, again, they're not going to be on the highlight tape, but you talk about plays that win you football games. Sam Brown right here converting on a 3rd and 6. Those are the type of things that win you football games. Again, Xavier Restrepo, I think, does the exact same type of thing in terms of just being a really intelligent wide receiver. Now, the second thing I want to dive into here is what Sam Brown can do working vertically. And we talked about this kind of being, potentially the missing piece for this Miami Hurricanes offense, where you have for one, a really, really good run game with Damian Martinez, that offensive line, Mark Fletcher getting healthy. You're going to see a lot of safeties get rolled into the box against this Miami Hurricanes team. And I think our conversation was when teams want to do that, when they want to roll safeties in the box, like you're going to see right here, do you have a wide receiver that can win vertically down the field? Sam Brown working at the bottom of your screen here, one really nice release, but more importantly, this isn't going to be a completion because Donovan Smith overcooks the football a little bit, but you're going to see him working vertically, fighting hands against a really good cornerback for Texas Tech, who I believe went in the day 3 of the NFL draft. Really good release off the line of scrimmage. We're going to be working vertically up the field. You're going to see it on the replay a little bit more, but in terms of using those hands, being a veteran wide receiver that understands how to create separation, working vertically, Sam Brown knows how to do it. And again, Donovan Smith just overcooks it. Cam Ward's not going to miss that throw. You see it on the replay. Really good release off the line of scrimmage. When he starts working vertically, he knows how to use his hands against a really big physical cornerback right here to create that separation when that football is in the air. I mean, that should be a touchdown if Donovan Smith puts that ball where it needs to be. I am really impressed with what Sam Brown can do working vertically. You're going to see him go up and make a play right here where he's just going to use that big frame because that is something that he certainly can do for this Miami Hurricanes team where, again, you're going to see a safety kind of get rolled into the box a little bit. Sam Brown's going to be working vertically. Donovan Smith, hey, just go give your wide receiver a chance. And do we have wide receivers like that yet last year for the Hurricanes that could go make these plays? I'm not sure. You got one with Sam Brown, who, again, at 6'2", 200 pounds, he knows how to use that big frame, go up and make plays. That's another thing that, really stands out to me about Sam Brown. Now, you continue to work through the film, you just see more and more impressive things for Sam Brown. He's a big-time possession wide receiver that has really strong hands. And again, 2nd and 13, going back to that Texas Tech game, do you have a wide receiver that can work the middle of the field, be that bigger-bodied possession wide receiver? Sam Brown can do that too, right? He's going to run kind of just a dig route to the inside of the field here. I mean, big-time strong hands, using that big frame in traffic to go make plays. Sam Brown can do that. And then don't get it twisted. This is a guy that I don't think he's pegged as a yards after the catch guy. But when you dive into the film, I mean, Sam Brown is all over the film in terms of how they want to use him. Multiple screens, multiple ends arounds. Sam Brown was a guy that this Houston coaching staff saw as an offensive weapon, and he is very comfortable after the catch working. I mean, this is a guy, you take a bad angle on Sam Brown, he is going to make you miss, make it look easy, get into the end zone. And you kind of dig in to this Hurricanes wide receiver room, and you're not going to see Sam Brown added to this depth chart just yet, but you start looking at the different ways that this Miami wide receiver room is going to be able to attack offense or opposing defenses. One, you have, in my mind, just an elite quarterback with Cam Ward. We've already highlighted the connection that Cam Ward and Xavier Restrepo are going to have. That one fires me up. I think that's going to be a 100-catch year for Xavier Restrepo, go for over 1,200 yards. Xavier Restrepo, I think, is going to be one of the more productive wide receivers that you see in the country. Jacoby George, a guy that I think there's an argument to say Jacoby George, outside of maybe JoJo Trader, a young pup, is maybe the most gifted wide receiver on this Hurricanes offense in terms of what he can do after the catch. And then you have a guy in Isaiah Horton, but also Sam Brown, who now you have those big body wide receivers that can work vertically down the field. You have a guy in JoJo Trader who, again, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field with just how dynamic he is. I look at this offense and say, you got an elite quarterback in Cam Ward. You have a very good run game between Damian Martinez and Mark Fletcher with a very good offensive line. If you're opposing defense, like, what are you going to do to stop this offense, right? Because if you want to put safeties in the box, try to stop this Miami Hurricanes rushing attack, you have a guy like Sam Brown that can work vertically down the field. If you want to try to respect what Isaiah Horton or Sam Brown can do, leave your two safeties high. One, the Hurricanes probably just going to run right over you, but guess who else is going to feast on the underneath type of stuff? A guy like Xavier Restrepo. I love how not only this team is really, really talented on offense, they got a lot of different skill sets that can allow Shannon Dawson to get really creative in terms of how he wants to attack opposing defenses. And, that's kind of what fires me up the most about this Hurricanes offense. Y'all know I'm high on this team. I think I'm going to continue to stay high on this team until August. Really excited for this program. All right, next up, we got Damian Martinez. Really excited about that one. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys again. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.